Hey Mariah, how's it going?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So start off with telling me a little bit about yourself. Are you located here in Texas?
No, I'm in Oklahoma.
Okay, awesome. I'm here in Texas in San Marcos, if you're familiar. What branch are you with?
I'm with the Edmond office.
Okay, fun, awesome. Awesome. So we should have someone joining us, someone else joining us, and we'll start at about 3. But today, if your manager hasn't prepped you, is going to be just some PR caller training, going into a little more detail. And it should be super interactive. There's only going to be 2 of y'all, so feel free to jump in and ask questions whenever you want.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Feel free to, take a break, turn your camera off, sip water until 3.
Okay.
Hey Casey, how's it going? Can y'all hear me okay? Awesome. And Casey, are you there? Oh, hey, you're in the office with me. Awesome. Awesome. Well, nice to meet y'all. Just to start it off, my name's Maud. I work in social media and recruiting here at the San Marcos branch with Damien Scott. I'm gonna put that in the chat just because I know it says Damien Scott there and I don't want y'all to forget my name or feel like you have to call me Damien or anything like that. Awesome. So I'm just gonna get us started with a little intro stuff. First, I believe both of y'all have Vector Live accounts. Is that correct? Awesome, great. And let's start with Mariah. What's your familiarity with Vector Live? Have you booked people before? Are you comfortable with the system?
I've been in the business for over 2 years now, so I've yeah, I've kind of know my way around, especially just I mean, besides the constant updates that Vector Live just miraculously has every now and again. So I'm pretty comfortable with it.
Great, perfect. And Casey?
I started September 13th. Sorry, I'm trying to connect the audio to my earbud and it's not.
Awesome, no worries. What's your familiarity with Vector Live?
Not really good.
Awesome. But do you have your login and have you logged in before?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. That's perfect. That's all we needed from you. Perfect. So before we dive in, I want to take a minute just to introduce myself a little more so you know who you're learning from and how I'll support you through this program. So I got started as a sales rep back in 2021, later became an assistant manager, and now I've returned twice in different seasons to help out with a lot of recruiting and social media here. Awesome. My role here is to help lead and support this recruiting assistant program. You also have your immediate manager, and that's going to be your go-to person for questions about scheduling, pay, or logging hours. But if you ever need additional help or have any other questions, you can always reach out to me or whoever's leading that PR caller program for your office or for your region. Awesome. So just to jump into the fun part for today, today's goal is to help you feel super confident making your first few calls, understanding what to say, and knowing exactly what to track. So a typical local office team typically has about 1 to 5 assistant managers, 5 to 30 sales representatives, and 2 to 8 receptionists or recruiting assistants. That's going to be your role, helping find, contact, and schedule those qualified applicants. So you might hear your manager call it a couple different names. There's receptionist, recruiting assistant, or PR caller. All of those terms mean the same thing. It just really depends on how your office chooses to brand the role. So your main job is going to be to get on the phone with students who have been recommended to our team, either by a friend through social media or through our referral system. Your goal is going to be to share brief information about the position, answer basic questions, and schedule them for a professional interview with their manager. During that interview, the manager is going to go over all the details and help both sides decide if the position is a good fit. The part you're going to play is making those initial calls is what makes the entire process possible. Awesome. So now that you know where your role fits into the big picture, let's go over exactly how to make those calls, what to say, how to sound confident, and how to get super great results. Awesome. So Vector Marketing is best known for 2 things, our cutlery and our student development program. So we really want to emphasize those when we're making our calls. I know y'all are familiar with Cutco, so I'm not going to go into the whole spiel about how Cutco has been around since 1949. You know that stuff, but it's super awesome to have the familiarity with the sales representative role while you're working in this role. And that's why we choose normally to transition those sales reps into this role.
Hey, Maud, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I'm probably sure you didn't see my message. Can we record this so that I can have it for future references? I'm sorry, I wasn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm actually recording it and we can get that recording sent to your manager if you'd like.
Oh, okay. Yes. Thank you so much.
Also, I'll put a note of that recording for you. Awesome. Alrighty. Thanks for interrupting me. Sometimes I'm not looking at the screen, so totally feel free to do that. Alrighty. So every office shares one mission, and that's to help students grow personally and professionally through our Cutco Through College program. We want our students to really graduate with an edge, a super competitive advantage by developing those communication, sales, leaderships, and business skills that our employers love. Awesome. So no matter which office you're going to visit, the 4 things that are going to define our culture is professionalism. Our managers and teams conduct themselves with respect, integrity, and excellence. Explosive team building. We grow from within by developing new leaders and creating opportunities for others, such as this position. High standards of performance. We compete, celebrate, and hold ourselves to world-class sales and service standards. And then 4th, we just have an aggressive pursuit of growth. We really believe in constant learning and becoming the best versions of ourselves. Awesome. So as a PR caller or social media recruiting assistant, you are the first step in helping students find opportunities like this. When you call someone or even message them on social media later on, you're not just offering them a job, you're offering a path to growth, confidence, and professional skills that can change their future. 90% of our recruiting assistants eventually transition into the sales program themselves. So if that's something you find yourself wanting to do, or we have the other 10% who are going the opposite way actually and go from sales to recruiting. If that's something that interests you, totally talk to your manager about whatever transition and whichever direction you might be interested in. Awesome. Alrighty. So to recap, we're a company that's been helping students grow through college for decades, offering world-class products and life-changing opportunities. So I just want y'all to take about 1 to 2 minutes and briefly answer this in the chat. What part of the Vector opportunity excites you the most? What gives you confidence when you talk to others about this program? Like, why do you believe in Vector? And what makes you proud to represent this company? So I'm going to put those questions in the chat. And there we go. Hey there, Danny and Dolores. How are y'all?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Are
How
you
are
here today for
you?
the PR caller training?
Yes,
Yeah.
man.
Awesome. So we just got to a good stopping point. I have no issue with y'all jumping in now. I might have missed y'all's admission into the waiting room. I'm going to put the questions in the chat again, but I was just giving them about 1 to 2 minutes to tell me what Vector means to them, essentially.
Former friend, a customer, a colleague from work. Couldn't be their boss.
Awesome. And how's it going, Dolores?
It's going good. How are you?
Good. Just so you know, this is a Zoom where we're requiring cameras to be on. Is that going to be an issue today? Thank you. Alrighty, y'all. Just take about 1 more minute, get those questions all answered. Don't worry about having perfect answers. I just kind of want to know what motivates you and what's your favorite thing about Vector. Awesome. Great answer, Maria. I totally relate to that. Awesome, Elijah. Yeah, I definitely have enjoyed the growth here so far. I love that, Casey. Yeah, I really like the simplicity too. Just, you know what they say, stick to the script and everything will be good. Awesome, y'all. I'm going to give it about 30 more seconds while we're wrapping up that last few questions. And does anybody who just joined have any questions about how this training is going to go today? Awesome. Awesome. Great answers, Danny and Dolores. Alrighty, y'all. Well, we're about to get into like kind of our most application integrative part of it. So I'm glad everyone's here. So one thing to keep in mind as a recruiting assistant is that not every student is looking for the same thing. Some students join for that professional growth and leadership experience. Others are really just looking for flexible work to make money over winter or summer break. And all of that's perfectly okay. Our goal is really to meet people where they're at. So if someone's ambitious and wants to build their resume, we'll help them find that path. But if they're just looking for short-term income, we can also help with that too. So those are all great thoughts from all of y'all. So now that you understand what the company offers and who we're helping, let's start learning how to communicate that over the phone, what to say, how to say, and how to schedule interviews most effectively. So I just want to confirm again, does everybody have a Vector Live account and familiarity with the platform? Awesome, great to hear. Perfect. So Vector Live is obviously where you'll see which interview times are available to schedule students, and it's the first thing you're going to open before calling. Awesome. Since most of the resources are hosted in Google Docs or Google Sheets, especially at my office, I recommend having those all ready and pulled up. They'll make it easier to access those call lists, scripts, and tracking documents. So the first thing you want to do when you open Vector Live, and I'm actually going to share my screen for this part, is you're going to want to take a little, let's get y'all's faces out of here. You're going to want to take a little observation. So these green means good. These greens to me mean good interview times. Yellow means it's not going to work out. Red will normally, which is a darker color than this, will mean it's full. Any other color, you can ignore. Those are miscellaneous trainings or otherwise not relevant to your job, if that helps. Awesome. And let me stop the share. All righty. So again, if you want to put it down in notes, green, available interviews, red, fully booked interviews, and that blue or orange is just going to be other events. So sometimes interviews will say Apex. Apex is the name of the Zoom platform we use to run our interviews. I know we've got a bunch of people for different offices, so just keep in mind, if that little A is there, that means Apex online. And if that C is there, classroom, that means it's going to be an in-person interview. So if your office is ever transitioning to a different interview style, that's great to keep in mind. You can also click ahead into the future weeks to see those additional available times. This is helpful if your current week of interviews is almost full. So before you start calling it each day, you're going to want to take a minute to identify all of the available interview times for that upcoming week. I like to write them down on the top of my paper. That way I can reference it really easily. Sometimes, I know some people have those big screen setups, but I personally only have one computer. So there's a lot of switching back and forth. I don't know about y'all though. So I like to write them down. That way you can just glance at them and offer time right away. Awesome. If you prefer to use something digital, that's totally great. The key principle here is just being organized before calling. If you've got a million screens and you want to do it that way, totally encourage that if that's what's best for you. Awesome. So by a show of hands, how many of y'all have entered people into Vector Live for an interview before, like fully scheduled start to finish? Awesome. I see Mariah and Dolores. Great. Alrighty. So I see that some of y'all haven't. Great. Awesome. So before you even start making calls, the 5 minutes to get yourself ready, I'll go into Vector Live in a second, sorry, y'all. You want to have that script open, have a pen and paper down just to jot down details, if anything, if they say something that you think might be relevant for the person interviewing them. You want to write down all those interview times for the next week and take care of any personal prep. You know, these shifts are normally short recruiting shifts. So we like to say, you know, you shouldn't be eating during them, try to go to the bathroom right before you start, all of that fun stuff. So even though this job can be done from home, I'm not sure where your managers are out with it. Definitely treat it like a professional workspace. When you're showing up to work, show up ready. That means you don't roll out of bed 5 minutes before your shift and open your laptop. You should definitely get up, get ready, eat breakfast, and be at a desk or a table working. So at the start of your shift, your manager is typically going to provide you with a list of phone numbers to call and a daily or hourly goal. Normally we shoot to have about 20 calls per hour, but the structure is really simple. You make calls, you track the results, and you schedule those qualified students for interviews. So for example, good performance for us looks like about 20 phone calls for each per hour. And we do double tap. So if they don't answer, we call them again. 2 calls to the same person does still count as 1 phone call. It doesn't count as 2 just because you did it twice. So the focus is trying to reach 20 new different people each hour. For interviews booked per hour, we average about 3 scheduled interviews per hour. Some hours you'll make fewer calls but book more people. That's great. The key is to focus on effort and consistency, and the numbers do balance out over time. So I always tell the receptionist here, don't worry if you're booking 5 people an hour, 6 people an hour, that's okay to not be calling 20 because it does take a little more time to put someone through the system and talk to them and book them. So it's all about controlling your effort. When you focus on the effort, the results will really flow. You should always keep track of your activity throughout the day. Most offices use an hourly update system. We have time cards as well. If yours doesn't, feel free to suggest it. Just say, hey, I want to track my results or my progress. Can I write all this down? So at the end of each hour, you want to write down or let your manager know how many phone numbers you called, how many people answered, and how many interviews you scheduled. So this helps both you and your manager identify opportunities for improvement. For example, if you talk to a lot of people but didn't book many, your manager can help you tweak your phrasing or your confidence. Awesome. So in the last 10 to 15 minutes of your shift, what you're going to want to do is make sure you haven't had anybody call you back to the phone number. We send messages after we double tap them, so we don't want anybody calling back and not being able to reach them at our next shift at a bad time. So be sure to be reaching back out to those people and checking the text messages that are coming through. So when it comes to performance, your goal is simple. If you talk to someone who qualifies, your mission is truly just to get them scheduled for an interview before the end of that call. So we do have some exceptions. So we don't want the person to be under 18. And if the person clearly isn't a college student, they are likely not going to be the best fit. In those cases, we really do just thank them politely for their time and move on, always leading with kindness and professionalism. So one key stat that we like to track is scheduling efficiency. So that simply means out of the people you actually spoke with, how many did you successfully book? Higher efficiency means you're connecting really well with these people and presenting super confidently. So for those of you that are familiar with Vector Live, have any of y'all heard of or noticed the show percentage button? Awesome. So it looks like Mariah might be familiar with it. It's an awesome metric that we use to track basically how you're doing in Vector Live. Awesome. So this is an old interview log I pulled up just to show y'all. So basically the show percentage shows how the interviewees are getting booked and how successfully they're being done. So to show y'all a good example, so we have a system called Conveyor that schedules. And for this one, I didn't have anybody show up. And it looks like the other ones didn't either. I'm trying to find the best example for y'all. Awesome. So this one is perfect. So for Conveyor, they had 2 scheduled, only one of the 2 showed up. So they're at 50% show. We do want to book for that 50% show rate, but it does vary by interviews and it's not in our control. So we just focus on being consistent in that consideration. Great. So we try to get it to 50%. That is the absolute goal. That means you are doing perfection. If your number is below 35% fairly consistently, that's in the needs improvement section. And about 40 to 50% is super solid, consistent performance. If you schedule about 10 people, we want at least 5 of them to show up. And that's how we really measure the quality of the calls, not just the quantity, because anybody can type, we can all type numbers and make calls and speak monotonely for hours and hours, but we really want to make sure y'all are doing your best and also improving. You might think, well, if they didn't show up, that's not my fault. But actually, a lot of what you say, your tone, confidence, and clarity directly affects whether someone shows up or not. So later today, we'll focus on exactly what to say on the phone to increase that show percentage and help you hit that 50% mark. Alrighty, so now that you'll know what a productive shift looks like and what numbers to aim for, let's talk about how to make great calls that get people scheduled and super excited to show up. Alrighty. So now that we've covered the systems and the expectations, let's go over the actual script you'll use when making the calls. We'll just walk through the flow right now. Later in training, we'll go more in depth on delivery and tone. So right now, can everyone please put their emails in the chat, and I'm going to share a copy of our PR call script with y'all. Mhm. Great. Awesome. And everybody should have just gotten that or should be sending now. Awesome. And then once you'll get that email, just try to pull it up and have it off to the side of the screen if you'd like, or just listening to me with the script pulled up. And then just give me a thumbs up on the screen whenever you're ready. Awesome. Thank you, Mariah and Elijah. Oh, and Dolores. Awesome. It seems like y'all are good. Danny, have you got it up?
It just told me to request permission to access it.
Awesome. Let me see if I can approve that for you. Awesome. Alrighty, you should have access now. All right, so
Oh,
I'm
we
just
are.
gonna have y'all have.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, of course. So I'm just gonna have y'all have that up, looking it over, kind of following along with what I'm saying. Awesome. So the script you use is the PR script. This stands for personal recruit. This means someone you're calling was personally recommended to our team by someone who already interviewed or works with us. So you're never going to call anyone you personally know. Instead, you'll be calling people who are recommended by one of our reps, usually a friend, classmate, or teammate of theirs. So we never want these reps calling their own friends because it makes the process a little less formal and less credible. We also want to make sure they're getting the right information in a professional way. So this feels like a real job to them because it absolutely is. So it starts with, hi, who can I pick on for this? Mariah, is it okay if I use your name? Awesome. So I'm gonna be like, hi, Mariah, this is Maud. I work with your friend Casey. How are you today? Did Casey mention that I'd be calling? If they say no, you want to respond confidently. Oh, okay, that's okay. I probably got a hold of you just before they did. The reason I'm calling is because Mariah just started working with us. Casey just started working with us. She's been doing really well, and we're looking to fill a few more spots on our team. They recommend you as someone who might be a great fit. So here we really want to not ask any unnecessary questions like, are you looking for work? Or do you have a second to talk? If they answer the phone, they're definitely available. And if they're not interested, they will absolutely tell you. So we call this assuming the positive. We assume that they're going to be interested and engaged, and we keep the conversation moving forward confidently. So next, we just quickly confirm that they meet the basic qualifications. Um, Once you've confirmed they're 18, you're going to share a short overview of the position. You want to make sure you read it really slowly and clearly. I personally am someone who always speaks too fast because I've read the script so many times. So I always have to force myself to slow down. And be sure to mention your office's specific base pay rate. It does change, state by state. Each office is going to differ slightly, so use the version provided by your manager. Next is going to be a huge concept of this PR calling, building rapport. This is one of the most important parts of the call, building rapport, just finding quick, genuine, common, good ground with the person you're talking to. You'll see throughout that script, there's questions scattered throughout. Over the call, you want to ask about 2 to 3 quick questions related to work, school, or their major. There's examples in the script. The goal isn't small talk, it's to connect and make the person feel comfortable. After you've connected for a moment, transition by saying something like, the reason I asked is because we offer flexible schedules and some scholarship and internship opportunities. So once you've given them a brief overview of the position, it's time to schedule that interview. You'll simply say, we're actually setting up, I'll just go with in person, but if your office does virtual, you would say virtual. So we're actually setting up in-person interviews right now. I could see a few openings. Would you like me to check the soonest available times? So you're gonna look at that list of interview times you wrote down for Vector Live, offer that soonest available slot. If that doesn't work, offer the second one. After that second one doesn't work for them, what I tend to do is ask them to walk me through their class schedule for the week. Like, when are you definitely busy? When are you maybe free? And from there, it's a little easier to narrow down the times. So once they agree to a time, what we need to do is slow down and confirm all their details super carefully. This is the most critical part of the call. You want to confirm that their name is spelled correct, that you have their last name, that their email is correct, and that the phone number is perfectly correct. Read back everything letter by letter and digit by digit. And here I'm just trying to emphasize accuracy. One typo can prevent them from getting their confirmation email or from joining the interview correctly. And it's totally something I've done in the past where we texted the address to the wrong number and then we lost someone for an interview. So after confirming that info, you're going to double check that the time works for them and give them a few quick reminders. Join the interview from a computer, not a phone, or come to the interview about 10 to 15 minutes early if it's in person. Dress appropriately. This is a professional interview, but since we do have younger students, we try to set the bar a little more reasonably. Not everybody owns business casual when you're at college. So we say, dress nice like you're having lunch with grandma. That lets them know, we want to wear nothing that's low cut, something that's not professional, but maybe just nice. Awesome. We also want to remind them to check their email and their text for the confirmation link and any other instructions. And mention to the manager that they were personally recommended. Having them tell the manager, although they likely already know that they were personally recommended, gives them an avenue to discuss with them. Oh, how do you know so-and-so PR? Finally, when you're wrapping up the call, you want to end on a positive note. Awesome. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Thanks again, and make sure to tell the manager you were recommended. Awesome. So now I'm going to share our objections guide so you can review those really quickly. And just 1 sec to do all y'all's emails again. Does anyone have questions so far? Am I going too fast, too slow? Awesome. Awesome. And Danny, feel free to request that approval back and I'll send it over to you.
What do you mean?
I'm sending you another document. It's probably going to ask to for
Okay.
you to request the approval again.
Okay.
Awesome. And you'll let me know if you got it or if it's lost and sent somewhere. Awesome. Thank y'all. So does everybody have access to it or have it pulled up?
Yep.
Awesome. Great, sounds perfect. Alrighty, so now that we've talked about how the call is going to go, now we're going to talk about handling common questions and objections. So now that you've learned basically how to walk through the script, what the flow might be like, I just want to cover something just as important, how to handle the questions and objections you're going to get on the phone. So that document you just received is the objections and questions guide. Totally don't underestimate this one and absolutely always have it pulled up because it's one of the most valuable tools you have. So this document outlines the most common things we hear from people like, I already have a job, what's the pay? Or can you tell me more before I schedule? Each one has a really short professional way to respond that keeps the conversation moving forward. So the biggest takeaway here is you don't need every answer. You're not responsible for having every single answer to every single question for them. In fact, it's actually better if the most detailed questions get answered by a manager during the interview. This helps take pressures off new callers who fear saying the wrong thing. You always reference your objection list. If you try to answer something complex and you're not 100% sure, it can sometimes cause confusion or hesitation for the person you're calling. I've totally been someone who's done this before when they ask about how the pay works, and I, instead of just saying $24 base pay, I try to go onto the whole method, and we both end up very, very confused. So instead, you want to focus on staying confident and professional. If someone asks something you're unsure about, here's what to say. That's a great question. I'm actually not the manager. My job is just to help get you connected with them for an interview so they can go over the details with you directly. Does that sound fair? And I'm going to put this in the chat just so you can save it to your notes as well. Awesome. And this way we just kind of let them know like, hey, I just work here. I'm the one making the calls. You're not in charge of the interviews themselves. You're not in charge of explaining the entirety of the position. So the only two phrases we want to absolutely avoid on the phone are I don't know and I can't answer that. Both make you sound uncertain or unhelpful, even if that's not your intention. Instead, you want to reframe it with confidence. Say, that's a great question. I wouldn't have all the details on such a quick call, but that's exactly what your interview will cover. Your job is not to convince anyone, it's to connect them, to make them feel comfortable and confident about learning more. If you stay calm, sound positive, and guide them toward the interview, you're doing your job perfectly. Awesome. So I'm actually just gonna like throw it out there and I'm gonna have y'all say back to me the objection. Since there's about 5 of y'all, I'll just do one objection for each. So make sure you have that list up and I'm gonna quiz y'all a little bit. Awesome. So Mariah, can you answer, is the pay hourly?
Let me find. Okay, I found it. Okay. That's a great question. When it comes to a subject as sensitive as pay, though that's definitely something a hiring manager will be far more qualified to cover for you in an interview. I wouldn't be able to have that kind of conversation over such a brief call. What I can say is that the pay is guaranteed, so it does not require sales or results. Does that provide some clarity for you in the meantime?
Awesome. That was super great. Great tone, great attitude, and super good speaking dialect. Awesome. And then Casey, how about you do I'm too busy with school, sports, etc.
So that's okay. That's probably why the rep recommended you. We do have work primarily with busy students, so we actually offer very flexible schedules. So if you were looking for work, would you need something that could be worked around everything else you've got going on?
I guess so. Awesome. And then do you want to say that after that yes line?
Okay, then I'll go ahead and cover some of those details for you.
Awesome. Perfect. Alrighty. And then I'm just going in order of my screen. Danny, do you want to answer what's the product? Are you there, Danny?
I'm here. I just had to unmute myself. Sorry. I was trying to
Awesome.
find
No
it.
worries.
I was trying to
Yeah,
scroll
no
down
worries.
to where
Sorry.
it's at. That's a good question. We work closely with a company called Cutco. They make an in-home products mostly for the kitchen. So the majority of our customers are soccer mom types.
Awesome. That's great. And then what about Elijah? Why don't you do I want to research the company? And you can choose either of those options.
Oh, okay, I just need to find it real quick.
Awesome. Yeah, no worries. If y'all are on computers looking at it, I know you can do like Control F or Command F to do a word search if that's helpful.
Awesome, okay, I found it. Okay. Got yeah. Okay, so well, I'd be happy to also try and clarify some information with you now. And of course, in the interview, my manager covers a full job description as well. We definitely want you to be able to check us out since you've come personally recommended by so-and-so. The interview also gives you the chance to ask any questions you have. What I can do is a set you up a time to meet. Sorry. What I can do is set you up a time to meet with them so that you can get all that information. How does that sound for you?
Awesome. That was perfect. I love how you spoke clearly and slowly. All right. And now, Dolores, can you answer the students going back to school soon page? And that one's on the last page.
Yeah, sorry, let me find it real quick.
Awesome. Yeah, no worries.
Okay. Sorry, my voice is a little messed up for a second. Oh, okay, that's totally fine. Just to let you know, we actually have 1 to 5 week programs that are available for students who are leaving for school soon, and it gives them the opportunity to earn some extra income before leaving.
Awesome. Perfect. So all of y'all were super great on your tone, on your confidence, and on speaking super clearly. That was amazing for everyone. So just keep focusing on that tone and that pacing of the script rather than memorizing it. You'll always have it in front of you, and there's truly no need to memorize it. But if you happen to, then that's awesome. So just as a reminder, it's not about knowing everything. It's about staying professional, sounding confident, and helping people get to the next step where they'll get all those details directly from the manager. Something I like to do and tell everyone that's new in training is if you're with someone that's kind of a lead recruiter with you in the office as you're starting work, I like to always hold on to the option to say, can I put you on a brief hold to ask my manager? Then I put them on a mute and say, help me, I don't know what to say. It's always great to have someone there mentoring you and helping you out with those I don't know situations. Awesome. So I'm going to talk to y'all about the 5 essential habits, the 5 basics that are going to dramatically improve that interview show rate percentage by focusing on tone, professionalism, and consistent performance. So these 5 basics are designed to show you how to perform better in your system, in your position. So the basic number 1 is follow the approach. Read that script word for word. This might sound obvious, but it's really the foundation of everything. Every time you make a call, stick to that exact wording provided. It might not feel supernatural at first, but the consistency does really create great results. When you read the script word for word, we can track what's working, give feedback, and help you improve. Your manager would rather have you sound a little robotic just because you're reading the script than have you wing it and lose consistency or lose a potential booked interview. So this first key to success is to read the script slowly, super slowly, which I know I've been saying this whole training, but we just want to really emphasize how important that is. That one skill alone is going to instantly make you sound more confident, clear, and professional. So speaking slowly helps you make sure that the person understands you the first time. We don't want them to say what and have to repeat ourselves a bunch. Prevents any unnecessary questions. The script answers all their questions very well, so we prevent them interrupting us or having questions that we're not sure how to answer. It helps you to sound more confident and trustworthy, as well as maintaining control of the conversation. So if you think of it this way, if you sound rushed, the people feel rushed, and that makes them feel more likely to hesitate or say no. But when you speak slowly, they feel like they can connect with you and people will trust you more. Awesome. So you know those medication commercials where they talk super fast at the end and with the all may cause death, dizziness, and confusion? Those speak really, really quickly because they don't want you to process what is being said. And we want the opposite. We want people to really understand us clearly and feel comfortable with vector marketing. So if you naturally have a super friendly or bubbly personality, that's great. We love the energy that brings, but remember on these calls, we're going for friendly professionalism. So reading slowly should really help you strike that balance so you sound confident, calm, and polished. And then building rapport in the script is where you totally get to show off that bubbly personality. So the next part of reading the script properly is to avoid those unnecessary questions. While handling those objections is super fun to, alternate stuff, we really want to avoid it. So some of the phrases we might want to avoid are, do you have a minute to talk? Are you looking for work? Or would you like to schedule an interview? You don't need to ask those because they'll tell you if they can't talk. They'll tell you if they aren't interested. And they will always let you know. So instead of giving them almost an easy out, keep moving confidently through the script. So one of my old mentors used to tell me, just do it now, thank me later. And that's the truth. You really need to trust the process, follow the approach, and you'll see it work and your show percentage is improving. Awesome. So now that we've covered the importance of following the approach and reading slowly, let's move into the next few basics that help fine-tune your performance and continue to raise that show percentage. Awesome. So next is going to be building rapport, which again, I know I've mentioned, but we just really want to emphasize it. Simply put, connecting with that person on the other end of the phone. So when you feel comfortable on the phone, they're that much more likely to schedule and show up. This connection reduces objections and builds trust. So people rarely remember every detail from a call, but they always remember how that call made them feel. So our goal is to make every call or leave thinking that was a good conversation, even if they don't remember the pay rate. We want them to feel like they connected to us or that they're okay with coming in for an interview because we go to the same college as them. So a good tip is to ask about 2 open-ended questions about work, school, other activities. Avoid any yes/no questions. Those really tend to shut down the conversation. So an example that I think is in the script is, what kind of experience do you have working with people? This invites them to talk about school, job, their personal life, community work, or teamwork. These are all super positive topics. Awesome. So I'm gonna have y'all now share like one super, super simple open-ended question in the chat that you think you might like to hear as a PR caller. What do you think would perk you up to be interested in talking to the person? Awesome. That's a great question, Mariah. I've been hearing a bunch of like new hobbies lately. Like new stuff is happening every day. It's getting really interesting.
I found when people are really excited and passionate about their hobbies, they're more than likely to talk more about it. So that builds the deeper connection. So that's a really good one I like to use.
Yeah, absolutely. And Elijah, why are you studying that major? Yeah, awesome. I love to hear people's reasonings. My reasoning was like, I'm in business, so I just chose to go with something pretty neutral, but um, most people have better answers than me. Awesome. What made you choose to come to school? Yeah, I think that's a great question, Casey. Everyone has a different reasoning for that. It's always interesting to hear. Awesome. What are some of your ultimate goals? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Awesome. All great questions, y'all. Perfect. So next up is going to be handling objections. Y'all already have that objections guide, which lists the most important questions and concerns people are going to have on the phone. So let's make sure we're all speaking the same language here. When we say objection, we mean just about any question or situation that might prevent you from booking an interview. So even if someone says, that sounds awesome, but can you call me back later? That's an objection because the call ends without an appointment on the calendar. So that guide includes something called the objection cycle. This is a simple way to just stay in control of the conversation. Hey, good question. By the way, are you at least 18? Or hey, good question. And then you give them the answer. Does that help for now? So these are super great examples of how to seamlessly put in those objections, and I'm going to put those in the chat for y'all. Alrighty. So notice that we never just answer and then stop talking and wait for them to be like, oh, okay, that was a good answer. Or maybe they say it's a bad answer. We like to keep the conversation moving, cycle past that objection. If you leave dead air, they will just ask another question. Instead, we answer confidently and then just keep moving along to the next step. So additionally, questions are a good thing. I also want y'all to know they're not bad. In fact, it really means that the person's interested. We just want their manager to answer the detailed questions in the interview that's super informational, not us. So when we say minimize questions, we don't mean shut them down. We mean redirect them to the right place through quickly answering them and moving along our call through our script. So basic number 4 is going to be to create urgency in scheduling. This is our second key to success, and it's a big one. The less time between the phone call and the interview, the more likely the person will show up. I'm not sure how y'all's job applications have gone in the past, but if I personally scheduled an interview for 2 weeks in advance, I very well likely might forget about it. So your goal is always to schedule them for the soonest possible time, if possible, the same day. If someone books for this afternoon, not much can get in the way. But if they book for next week, there's a really good chance they'll forget, lose interest, or take another job even. So remember, book for the next available slot, preferably that same day. And that's why most offices have those evening interviews, so we can fill them with calls made during the day. Awesome. So when scheduling, offer one interview slot at a time. If that doesn't work, you're going to offer one more. We don't want to offer them a list and give them their pick of the litter just because it adds a little complication. They typically will ask, wait, what time on Wednesday? What time on Thursday? A couple of times until you can confirm an accurate time and date with them. So something else I want you all to remember is just to only offer one slot at a time. Basic number 5 is going to be the final basic, and it's all about how you end the call and how you sound throughout the conversation. So at the end of every call, we firm up the appointment. That means we're going to confirm how their name and email address are spelled, confirm the interview time and day again, give final reminders, join from a computer or in person if it's in person, about 10 to 15 minutes early, dress appropriately, like you're having lunch with grandma or going to church, check your email for a link, and tell the manager who and how they were personally recommended. So this part is there for a reason. We want them to feel confident and impressed, but not intimidated. We want them to think their friend really, really wants them to work there because they do. And we want them to feel like they could be super successful here. So ideally, you'll sound so confident that they think, wow, that caller was impressive, but not so formal that they get nervous and skip the interview. That's the balance that we aim for. So as far as tone goes, if you've ever worked in customer service, it's super natural to have that customer service voice, overly friendly, overly eager to please. That's not the goal here. We're not in customer service in this position. Awesome. So your job is not going to be to impress the caller. It is to be impressive. When someone says, I'm a student at Texas State studying engineering, don't overact with, awesome, that's so cool. Wow, that's so hard. That's amazing. We want to say, that sounds like, you want to say a neutral, confident response, like, got it. That makes sense. I understand. This phrase keeps the conversation smooth and credible. Awesome. So our 5 key basics, just to review them super quickly. Follow the approach, read that script word for word and slowly. Build rapport, make them feel comfortable and connected. Handle objections, create urgency, and firm up in tone. So just sounding professional, booking them for that soonest interview time, and getting them through that objection cycle. And I'll put that in the chat as well for y'all. Awesome. And then can I get a show of hands again? I remember Casey was not familiar with Vector Live. Who uses Vector Live on the regular? Awesome. Alrighty. So that wraps up almost all of our training. The next section I will be going over Vector Live. If Mariah, Dolores, and Elijah are all confident, I'm totally allowing y'all to hop off because I know Mariah said she's been here 2 years, so I don't want to make her go through that training again. And then Elijah and Dolores, are y'all super comfortable or would you like a review? Yeah, what's up, Elijah?
So yeah, I'm gonna stay just to review it because I just know it a little bit, not too well. And also, never mind, I have the script. I was gonna ask for the script, but I remember I got it already. Thank you.
Awesome. And Dolores, where are you at?
You know, I'm super confident. I use it every day.
Awesome. Then Dolores and Mariah, feel free to have a good evening. And you got off a little early, so that's awesome.
Thank you so much, Maud. I would also love to get your contact info as well. Do you want me to drop?
Absolutely.
You're going to share it. I would definitely love to
Yeah.
pick your brain and definitely get to know you a little bit better because I feel like you have a lot of good insight, and I would love to just share minds and see if we can partner up. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Text or email,
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
of course.
Thank you. I hope you have a good day.
Yeah, bye y'all too. Awesome. Alrighty, I'll let them hop off. Yeah. Alrighty, so now we're going to be going over Vector Live, and I'm just going to show y'all how to be working through it, the different ways it works, and just refamiliarizing everyone. Let me share my screen. Awesome. So this is what Vector Live looks like when I open it up. Is this not what anyone else's Vector Live looks like? Does this look pretty familiar? Awesome, great. Alrighty, so again, Vector Live, when you open it up, you're on this home screen. These greens are the good interview times. If you ever see one that's red, kind of like the stop share button or one of these, that means the interview is overbooked or fully booked and we can't book any more people. This orange and blue, again, is not going to be for our recruiting and receptionist purposes. So awesome. So this is where you're going to go after you book someone. There's several ways to do this. One way to find personal recruits is by going into the recruiting, personal recruits again section. This will show a variety of personal recruits as well as options for how we're going to call them. So you can see here, it's filtered by personal recruit. We can filter by their start and end date if you're looking for a specific recruit. And we can also change these things, like if they've been called today, because while we do want to double tap often, we don't want to double tap them more than once in one day. Here you can change the office. So I'm going to show you all just an example. These call attempts, the NH is not home. The LM is left message. And these are the referrals and who they referred. So if you go here, I'm just going to show y'all basically how it would work. You would click this button if you double tap them and they didn't answer. You would click this message for if you sent them a text. And this message actually gets clicked when they answer the call. And with that is where you would start filling out their information. So male, female, this, and then zip code. And then after that, you would click get interviews. You can also schedule a callback time. If they're not qualified, which means they're under the age of 18 or an international student, if they get angry, sometimes people do request to be on the do not call list. This is the button for that. Awesome. Any questions about how that little system works so far? Awesome, great. Alrighty. And then next I want to show you all a cool button. It's called applicant search. This is my favorite way to like make things more efficient throughout my shift. If I'm looking for the phone number of a specific rep, maybe to text them about who they've recommended and how I can best call them or reach them, you can type in their name, Ali, or you can type in their phone number and search them up very, very easily. So with that, you want to change the pass to all to make sure you're in the right data range. Otherwise, if you do past 30 days or past 90 days, you'll only be able to find the phone numbers within there. Awesome. So if you want me to, here, I'll show y'all with my phone number. Awesome. So that's the phone number. I set it to all since I started here a while ago. And we have a couple for me, of course. But then you would be able to find all those phone numbers. Great. Alrighty. Next, we're going to go to applicants. Here's where you're going to do a variety of stuff. Not all this is related to the PR. Here is where you would put in a new applicant. That's someone who's not a PR, but I just want to familiarize you with a couple of these systems. So as you can see, they're all following a really similar format. You're going to put in the name, you're going to confirm, phone number. For phone type, always select cell. I can't really tell you why, but I know we're supposed to. It just makes the software work better. And then you put in the zip code, and that is where you would get the office. So that's how you would put in a new person who is not a PR. let's see. Another way we find PRs is by going to the previous week's training group. So the best way to do this is to go back to the weekend when training was, click on that log for training. And then for the PRs that our office chooses to call, we call PRs of those that launch. So we sort the launch in descending, and that puts all the launch sales reps at the top. Great. And then from here, you can see how many PRs they've suggested. So let's go to Braden Woolley, who is actually a PR himself. And then you scroll down and you click to display his personal recruits list. So this is his personal recruits list. It used to be longer. We've worked through it a bunch. These stars mean that we call them, these non-stars mean we're usually not reaching out to them. Once we have called them, we put them through a system called Conveyor, which is something your manager might train you on later on. So here is where you would find their friend's phone number. So it would be, we would be calling Alan Guyton, and he was recommended by his friend, Braden Woolley. Alrighty, let's. Awesome. And I believe that is all I have to show y'all on how PRs work through Vector Live, but do y'all want more instruction on how Vector Live itself works? Do you have any questions about that?
So I just have a question about PRs. So if I went out to recruit people and if I had to enter them in, I would put them through the PR, right? And then my name, or no?
How are you recruiting these people? That's a great question, though.
So like let's say if I do like a campus recruiting for like my staff for next summer branch.
Awesome. So you're branching?
Well, I'm a candidate right now, but
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll say you're branching. So for that, you could do it that way, but I think for tracking metrics, the best way is going to be to actually go to applicants. And we like to do on-campus table clipboards for on-campus events or social media walk-ins for off-campus events, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
there's also this new applicant button, and somewhere along this point, once you get to the next page, you can actually specify how you source them. So you can say on-campus tabling or social media, or I would say a good rule of thumb is a personal recruit has to be one of your friends, you know, someone you met out and about or someone you have a class with. But for on-campus tables and clipboards, here, let me show you. So what we normally do is we go to this page, select the office, we create an on-campus table or on-campus clipboard. We'll specify table, put in the date and the time range, then college, or if we went to high school senior thing. And then let me just find one that I can show you from the past that we've done. Awesome. So then once you have one of those created through that thing, then you'll go to one of these, and that's where you can enter applications from that table campus clipboard.
Okay,
And then
sounds good.
awesome. And then similarly for the social media, it's going to look like this. And then here's where I would show you how to source. So you could say they're from Instagram or Snapchat or something else. And then if it is a true referral by you, you know, say you're like your formal high school lab partner decides to start, you could totally make yourself a referral for that. Awesome. And additionally, if you ever need to add to a personal recruits list, it's super, super simple. You just go back to that personal recruit again. Let me find a good one. You scroll down again. And then instead of, you can still display it. Instead of just displaying it, you would just click enter personal recruit. And here you would put the new personal recruit's phone number, their first and last, that email, and then you would click one of these buttons. So that would mean reach, not home, or left message. So the first time you enter them, you should probably be calling them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any other questions? I love that question so much. Casey, how's this sounded to you? Is it super foreign or are you doing good?
I might come ask you in person just to.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm more than happy to clarify. Danny, how you feeling about all of this?
Pretty good with it. I know it. So I branched this past summer, so I'm pretty familiar with it. I just haven't done it in a while now, so it was a good refresh from you. So that was
Awesome.
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Anything else I can refresh? There's no too simple questions.
What about like the reports part? Like when you're doing,
I've never used that. That's my
oh,
honest answer for you. Yeah.
okay.
Um,
That was
yeah,
one
we
of the
can
only
check
things
it
that kind
out.
of confused me as well when I was doing it. So that was kind of just,
Yeah. So this shows show percentages, which we do check sometimes, but we don't check them on a daily basis. Those show percentages are more visible in interviews. So let me show you an example of one. We need an interview that someone. So example, so this is the show percentage. And then basically these are the people who were scheduling. So one of our assistant managers, Daniel, had 100% showed for the one he scheduled. We have a platform that scheduled called Conveyor, and that's at a 60% show rate. And then me, for example, I scheduled 5 and 0 showed for this one. So something was going on with my methods this week. And that's not a strict thing. We do just try to keep track of it and make sure we're improving when we need to.
right.
Awesome. Anything else from Danny or Elijah?
Nope. I'm good.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all for your amazing questions. I hope I got you out of here quicker than expected. This is my first time running this training, so I'm glad I had y'all super participatory and all of that. And thank you for your time.
Awesome. You did great.
Awesome. Thank you, Danny. Y'all have a good day.
Yep, you too.
You can come in here, girl.